Matthew is asking, how can I tell what site server or DP the client is getting the software from during a client push or a software install? How do I set it up to use a specific distribution point?
So there is no option in the client installation settings to point it to a specific DP for downloads. You can point it to MPs and fallback status points. So it's boundaries that controls that. But it's not too hard to figure out where it came from. So let's see what I have available that I can borrow. There are a couple of ways to figure out where things is coming from. Something I've been using over the years is just scripts, PowerShell scripts, to parse some of the log files that are being created when the clients are downloading content. So if I, let's see, so here is one that is looking for PowerShell script that looks from. No, actually, I used to parse event logs. Now I'm asking. Sorry, I used to parse log files. Now I'm parsing the event log because ID60 is a completed bits event, and if it contains this particular URL, I know it happened to be a ConfigMgr download. So long story short, if I have something downloaded here, it should show up as last EP used. Apparently I didn't have anything downloaded there, so let's go ahead and download something. I'm not going to reinstall the client because that's going to take a bit, but I can download something just to see what content we come down with. I'm going to pick one of my test packages here. Maybe not the 300 meg one, but 100 meg one. If it decides to show this week. All right. So this is a test package I have, download a file. But at this point, the client is indeed trying to find a distribution point based on the boundary groups that you have defined in ConfigMgr. And this is also being logged in the cast log file, as well as it's being logged in the various event logs. So hopefully it will find a home shortly and start to download this file. This is on a throttled location for sure. I think it's a 45 megabit link I'm currently throttling to, so it's not the fastest one. But we can see if it actually starts to download anything in the background at all. Because sometimes it does that before the UI update itself. And it does look like it's starting to download some stuff. Recognize that EP, for example. Not the fastest download. This is from a connected cache server. This is from a local peer friends asking around for content. I can see it's doing something. Let's see what the cast log has to say about it.
Jeff mentioned here in the comments the dreaded 0%.
Yeah, so we have the cast log, which is the ConfigMgr cache log, or that manages the ConfigMgr. So it did find a couple locations here that does have the content based on the boundary groups. So it found that I have 2 distribution points that it will considering getting content from. There is also a data transfer manager log that is involved in this. Indicate an incomplete start in the download. But for some reason, it decided to take a bit of a break. I can see it's downloading some stuff. All right, maybe it's just, there we go. As I said, it's a heavily throttled link. It's a 45 megabit. That's not megabyte, that is megabit link that it's behind. While we're waiting for that one, let me go over to one of my other clients, which should have downloaded content recently. Let's see what this one has. I'm just going to take a look at some packages in general, see if I find anything. Because you can indeed ask the event log nicely for downloaded stuff. Here we go. There we go. So this particular client this one actually had the ConfigMgr client, so that was actually a better example. That was a bonus. But as you can see here, this particular client at some point yesterday downloaded the CCM setup, and you can see very clearly that it came from a distribution point, the original location, but in this case, the content actually came from up here. So that was a friend on the same network that happened to have the content. It leveraged branch cache to get that content. Otherwise, this one here would have set 0, and it would have gotten everything from the DP. So on networks where you don't have branch cache enabled, this one will always be 0, and the content will always come directly from the DP. So that's how you can find out what a little healthy dose of PowerShell that parse the event log for that kind of information. And I'm assuming my client app here is still downloading that I showed earlier. Yeah, it's getting down there, but all right.
Awesome.
So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, Matthew said thank you. So based off the boundary groups, he's just started setting up their environment at his company.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to check for also. That is, first of all, that one just finished. So let me open up that script. That was not the script. Here we go. Let's see if that snippet actually works. Now when you have downloaded some content. Yeah, now it tells me for this particular client that content came from distribution point number 2. So you can check also boundary group IDs by asking the client itself, WMI. It will tell you what boundary group you're in. And in general, if you're a member of multiple boundary groups, that's not good. Because then you don't really know where content coming from. Because in ConfigMgr, these boundary groups, I think I have a few over here I can show.
Sounds like Kylo doesn't like overlapping boundary groups either.
He does not. He's not a big fan of those. But they will tell you, the client, where to go to find MPs, DPs, state migration points, and software update points. So that's how you control it. And one of the most common things to see is indeed where we have overlapping boundaries that causes troubles. A great resource we showcased in one of our trainings just the other day here. Trevor Jones has a beautiful little report. I've been using it years and years. If I can type boundaries, it would be great. This one here still works with the latest config manager. And it generates a nice HTML report that will tell you straight off the bat whether you have boundaries that are overlapping with others. So, as part of a health check scenario, this one is really useful. I'll be happy to share that link with you.
Very cool.
All right.